Thank you for tuning in to watch our Invest Greater Fort Lauderdale Leadership Summit. You're about to watch our closing keynote speaker, Mayor Dean Trantalis from the city of Fort Lauderdale. Enjoy.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning to Fort Lauderdale. I see so many friends. I see my colleague from Hollywood, Josh Levy, the mayor of Hollywood. And by the way, thank you for raising the pride flag at City Hall in Hollywood. If we had a City Hall, we'd probably do the same thing here in Fort Lauderdale. First of all, it's once again my
Brett is ready to build it for you.
Is he? Well, that would be great. First of all, my name is Dean Trantalis. I'm the proud mayor of the city of Fort Lauderdale, having now gone into my 8th year as mayor of our beautiful city and continuing to see so many wonderful things happening throughout South Florida. And in particular, I want to talk about Fort Lauderdale this morning because we're seeing so many things happening around us. I'm sort of listening to the speakers who spoke before me, and I have a little different take on why things are happening in Palm Beach County and Miami-Dade County. And I think that hearing that other perspective might give us an understanding as to the potential that we have here in Broward County, and in particular, the city of Fort Lauderdale. Keep in mind, we talk about, Stephen Ross, why is he investing in West Palm? Because he lives there, right? People like to invest where they live. There's no particular incentive to go there. There's no particular demand that's materializing there. They're going to create that. Miami-Dade has always been the capital of South America, and they will continue to get money and population and investment from folks that come from Central America, South America, the Caribbean, and that's been traditionally. I know there are people who have been born here and lived here longer than I have. I've been here over 4 decades. And I see the trends of what goes on here. Who comes to Fort Lauderdale? Who comes to Broward County? Who lives here and who invests here? It's a whole different dynamic than what we see in Palm Beach County as well as Miami-Dade. Now, there are people who've been here longer than I have, and in particular, Romney Rogers. I'm my colleague from the commission. Romney, thank you for being here this morning, and his son. Thank you so much for both attending. And while you certainly have seen trends longer than I have, I think we can all appreciate what goes on here in Fort Lauderdale. What goes on here in Fort Lauderdale is that people see a future here. If you look at who is populating Fort Lauderdale, yes, the retirees, yes, the empty nesters, but the majority of the people that are coming, especially in our downtown, are people in their 30s and 40s and their 20s. You go down Las Olas Boulevard today, it's not a bunch of retirees like myself buying, eating out and buying bad art. It's young people, the Palmer, Moxies, El Camino, these are you folks are I look at the faces here in the crowd this morning, mostly young people. And why is that important for us, like a city of Fort Lauderdale? Because you are the generation that is going to make Fort Lauderdale a sustainable city. We are not going to be just a city of retirees. We are a city of the future. You've decided to come to Fort Lauderdale. You've decided to make yourself a career here, maybe even start a family. Recently, the Miami Herald featured downtown Fort Lauderdale as one of the best places for young families to go. In fact, we see more people pushing baby carriages than walking dogs. And that's a dynamic that I think needs to be recognized and needs to be understood. Like, why are people coming to Fort Lauderdale? People are coming to Fort Lauderdale because, come on, it's the best place to live. Broward County is great, right? You walk out the streets here, it's safe, it's beautiful, it's tree-lined. It's really a safe, comfortable place. And we all have evolved at different times. Fort Lauderdale is not as an older city as, say, Hollywood. I think Hollywood got its start a little bit sooner than Fort Lauderdale in terms of recognized by people wanting to move here and invest here. But the wonderful thing that we've been able to do as a city these last few years is to recognize what the city assets are and how we can partner with private enterprise. And in particular, I'm going to point out 4 different examples. One, of course, is our partnering with Inter-Miami. Inter-Miami and the city of Fort Lauderdale partnered to build a magnificent soccer stadium. not just a soccer stadium, but they gave us a football field for 2 high schools that never had a football field, set up an academy for young kids who want to go into soccer, set up their administrative offices, and to this day, they are still playing here in the city of Fort Lauderdale and bringing celebrity and bringing popularity to a game that continues to evolve in the minds of young people who want to be a part of that. And the city was able to partner with them. We received over $180 million worth of investment, and all the city had to do was provide the real estate. Another example of that, of course, is we see what's going on here with our famous Stanley Cup winners with the Panthers here in Holiday Park, right? Yes, no cats. And what did we do? How is that important to Fort Lauderdale? Because we partnered with the Panther organization and we provided the real estate. And they built 2 magnificent ice skating rinks for the public. Now, let me tell you, when we first talked about that, I can't tell you how I was showered with criticism. Who's going to go skating? This is Florida. No one's interested in hockey. Yes, believe it or not, that's the response I got. But we always get that kind of response. And you know, if we're going to be leaders, we need to push forward and not be distracted by the negativity of life. And so we continue to work with the Panther organization, and what resulted? Not only did we get 2 beautiful ice skating rinks, which by the way, you can't even get in, can't even schedule yourself to go there sometimes, because between the kids camps and the adult leagues, there's so much popularity there that we never thought we would see that kind of interest as we now beginning to see. But in addition to that, the Panthers just went ahead and said, hey, this War Memorial Auditorium looks pretty sad. You know, what can we do to make that look better? And what did they do? They invested over $30 million to create a venue, an entertainment venue, that the city never had that kind of money. Never would have invested. We didn't even want to pay for curtains, remember, Ronnie? They wanted $800,000 for curtains, and I choked on that. You know, it's like, who wants to buy curtains? So this is the kind of partnering that the city of Fort Lauderdale has done that we don't see happening in Palm Beach County, and we don't see happening in Miami-Dade County. We see it happening here because we have a proactive government that sees the opportunities that private interests are offering and is unwilling to say no, but is ready to say yes in so many of these opportunities. Look again, pickleball, another rising sport. Okay, the city of Fort Lauderdale took a compost facility, which it was no longer using, and abandoned it. And we're able to partner with Fort Lauderdale, and they moved forward and built 41 pickleball courts, paddle courts, right? And if you look over Snyder Park today, it's finally bringing function and purpose, and a recreational function and purpose to an often neglected segment of our community. And it's probably one of the most popular pickleball courts in the entire nation. And so we're so proud. Again, not one nickel of city money, taxpayer money, went into that. What we did was we partnered with them by providing the land and the landscape for them to be able to fulfill their dream and their vision. In addition, we now are seeing an enhanced holiday park with the expanded tennis courts, and we were able to partner with the Orange Bowl Committee, who have now decided they're going to invest further, and here the city will also invest through its Parks Fund to create an enhanced tennis court facility. We're going to build a stadium there for competition play. And again, all part of what it's like to live in Fort Lauderdale. So what does that mean to families? It means there are things to do. It means there are recreational opportunities for young kids and families and parents to be able to be with their kids and to say, hey, these are things that we can do here in our city. You don't see that in Plantation, and you don't see that in Cooper City. You see it here. And that's why more and more people are moving here. That's why more and more people are finding Fort Lauderdale as their home. And not just the residential portion, single family homes, but in our downtown core. People say to me, oh, you keep building buildings in Fort Lauderdale. Why do we keep building buildings in Fort Lauderdale? To make sure that they stay empty? They're not empty. You know as well as I do that these buildings keep being built because people are moving to our communities, whether it be Fort Lauderdale or Hollywood, whether it be Pompano, whether it be any of the coastal communities, people are moving to our areas. And if we don't build, we'll run out of supply and it'll only push up the price, which will make it even more unaffordable than what people are seeing today. And that's why inventory is so important that we continue in that trend. So what's happening in Fort Lauderdale? Well, who's buying? Who's deciding to invest here? Well, if you talk to the realtors and realtors in the room, you are the eyes and ears of what's happening in our city. We are being told that the luxury condo market and the luxury single-family home market is what's pulling the real estate market ahead today. If you look at Andare, we just did the groundbreaking here on Las Olas, right across the street, moving forward. The St. Regis project over on the beach, they keep writing contracts there like they're giving them away. It's amazing what's going on there. If you talk about the folks in Pompano Beach, where the Waldorf and the New W all completely sold out. Why are people moving here? And why is a high-end purchaser coming to our shores? It's because of the quality of life that we offer to them. Not only for them, where they can sit out on the beach and order a cocktail and relax for a day, but they know that there are places for their kids, there are places, there are educational opportunities, and there are places for everybody to participate in a well-rounded, family-oriented environment. And that's what we offer here in the city of Fort Lauderdale. That is our best sales point. So when you go out and try to sell Fort Lauderdale, it's because we are reaching out to families. We are making sure that everyone has access to the amenities and to the wonderful things that we provide here. And that is what we offer to you. And as mayor of the city of Fort Lauderdale, I will continue to sell our brand so that we understand ourselves, that we stand out from all the other communities north of us and south of us, knowing that we offer something different and something better and something more enriching and something sustainable. Because if we don't build sustainable cities, we're never going to have a future. So that, my friends, is the introduction to Fort Lauderdale. And we appreciate everything that you do and have to say and participate in this conversation. So thank you very much for inviting me.